Hello and welcome to the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. 1 year on from the last time the Road to MotoGP Asian contingent went racing. We're here in the Middle East at the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar. And if the Asia Talent Cup wasn't hotly contested enough, a year on the sidelines, building up all the tension, ready to release on track, will surely make this the most competitive season yet. Riders from all corners of Asia and Oceania ready to begin their road to MotoGP. So sit back, hold on to your hats, the edge of your seats, keep no drinks close by, because we're ready to rock and roll for round one. Hello, good afternoon and welcome. It's precisely 4:26 local time and it's the first race at a MotoGP event in the year 2021. A year on from the last time we had Asia Talent Cup racing, full stop. Unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic putting paid to that for the rest of the 2020 season. My name's Matt Dunn, alongside me as ever, Fran Wild, to bring you this one. And Fran, it's 35 degrees Celsius out there on the grid. Well, in our very tight, small box in the commentary booth, it's probably even hotter, so I hope the riders feel sorry for us rather than themselves. How much are you ready for this one, though? This should be spectacular.
I see your New Year's resolution of leaving narcissism in 2020 has gone very successfully.
Not a chance.
No, it is pretty hot in the comms booth, but yes, it's incredibly hot today at Lusail. It looks like temperatures might drop a little bit for tomorrow, so that'll be something interesting for these guys as well, with a different race time as well. But today, the sun is beating down, 35 degrees. It's a bit of a scorcher.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully these guys, winter training and everything, preparing well. For some of them, fortunately, come for some very hot atmospheres in their home countries as well.
This is what I was going to say. They maybe have the slight edge on the sort of Brit, Swedes, Irish, Finnish, maybe, you know,
yeah,
a little bit more acclimatized, but it is a different heat here in Qatar to the likes of Malaysia, Thailand, and a lot of the places these guys are from. And Indonesia, of course. But yeah, it's pretty hot out there. It's not the easiest start to the season, for sure. Very physical in these kind of conditions. And it's 14 laps we've got today.
Yeah, it should be a real class event, as always. And we're so used to, I mean, you and me have been doing this since 2018 now, with these race finishes coming across the line at Qatar. Always pretty much a photo finish in some way or another. Rei Wakamatsu was in the fight last year as well. So many riders, so many familiar faces, but can you give us a little bit of a talk through what is different this year for 2021 in terms of some of the riders? It's rookies and elder statesmen too, even though they're incredibly young.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's obviously, like you said in the introduction, if everyone was with us from the off, sadly last year, after the first round held in Qatar, the coronavirus pandemic put paid to the rest of competition. But everyone on the grid last year, we'll come back to this man, Daniel Sharil, don't worry, we're not ignoring that. But everyone who was on the grid last year was automatically invited to come back this year, and most have. There's a few who haven't, either doing different things, deciding to bow out, but the likes of Harrison Voigt as well, moving up the road to MotoGP. So some good stuff there. But so, yeah, so we've got some familiar faces from last year in round one and testing, and we have a few rookies as well, chosen by their national or regional federations to fill the gaps, obviously without a selection event. But one of those men who was just on your screen, Daniel Sharil, he's from the class of 2018 or even before that. I can't actually remember his debut year.
It would be,
but it was 2018 that we last saw him on track in the Asia Talent Cup, and it sadly had a huge crash at the final round of the season at his home track of Sepang. Badly broke his leg, and then finally, after quite a long recovery, he is back on a motorcycle, back in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and crucially back on the pace, which is really nice to see. Would have been a bit of a heartbreaker if he'd come back and found actually after so much time out and his injury struggles that he was sort of, you know, lagging behind a little bit where he'd left off, but he is right up there. Oldest rider in the field now, but still only 18 years of age, despite that recovery.
It's not exactly a huge sort of title.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? It feels feels like a different era almost in my head, but it's great to see him back on the grid. He is the number 21. Do not get confused with the number 20 of Sharil. It's Danielle Sharil who is the returning from that, Sepang crash. Not clash, crash.
In the middle of your picture there. So let's do a quick run through of the grid as we have 3 minutes to go. Well, you might remember the name Tayu Furusato. Not only did he finish the testing campaign on top, but was also pole position here last year, pole position here this year, just missing out on wins here a year ago. Danish starts from second place from Aditama, the Indonesian
Apologies
rider.
in advance if we accidentally go Danish, because that is our natural instinct when we look at him.
Exactly. Aditama third place, and that's gone through the grid far too quickly for you lovely people out there. Wakamatsu leads the second row from Sharil, and then Carter Thompson. Hongo leads the third row of the grid from Gun Mie and Al Darwish, who I believe is one of the local riders.
He is indeed. He is a Qatari rider, Yusuf Al Darwish, so great home showing for him. A couple of interesting ones as well. Kanta Hamada, the winner of race 1 last year, not quite been able to find that pace again this year so far. He was pretty quick in testing, but I think he was 7th or 8th on the combined timesheet, so not setting the world alight just yet. But they did do a race simulation in the test as well, and unfortunately Hamada didn't finish that, so we're not sure over a longer distance. That race simulation, by the way, was won by the number 3 of Fadila Aditama of Indonesia, who was also 2nd overall in the combined standings, just doing time attacks. So he looks very, very strong. But yeah, Furusato, I think we saw last year tactics maybe not perfect in terms of coming to the finish line. Like you said, you remembered suddenly when you watched them back, like how he was so quick, and then just out that final corner just didn't manage to get it done.
Decided to lead out the final corner in both races despite being mugged at the line in the first one. It's
bit of a heartbreak. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he should be definitely one to watch. And yeah, Aditama for sure. A few people though as well moved up significantly in that race simulation. So we had the likes of Australian rookie, who's also Greek name, you might notice. So Nicholas, he moved up, Marianas Nicholas, he moved up to 2nd in the race simulation.
Wow.
From just outside the top 10 on the combined standings and testing. So that was interesting. It seems to be a different picture slightly when we go a little bit longer distance. Having said that, the likes of Furusato, he didn't really play much role in that because he had a bit of a clutch problem, I believe, in the race sim. So maybe he would have been far up the road, maybe he would have been fighting Aditama for it. I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah, one thing's for sure. I mean, it's not going to be short of action, this one, even over 14 laps. It's a long old lap for these guys here. The full position time was actually the only rider, Tayo Furusato, set a 2:11 lap time. That was this morning, but in the combined practice sessions, a few riders were on that pace at the night time as well. These conditions might be slightly more favourable. A couple of mere few degrees cooler it is right now out there in the ambient temperature, and with the sun starting to bow behind the grandstand on the home straight, maybe that will change the conditions as we go further forward. But wow, I really cannot wait for this one. Great to see Daniel Sharil back on track as well. I tell you what, Fran, I certainly can't call it. I dare not.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know, if you've ever watched an Asian Talent Cup race before, you'll know it's usually pretty crazy. And even when it's not a crazy group fight, it's usually an incredible duel. We seem to never really get that one rider escaping at the front. We get a duel in a great game of chess with plenty of slicing and dicing, or we get those mad group battles that we love from the likes of the Moto3 World Championship races here as well. I'm excited. It's nice to hear that rumble as well as they all pull away. We've missed that sound, and we are the first race of the season in the Grand Prix paddock. Quite an honour.
How exciting. Even more so for the commentators and the riders, I suppose. Just kidding.
That narcissism.
But it is really great to see the Asian Talent Cup bikes back on track racing, because it was a long season sat behind computers on Zoom. I think that's relatable for just about everybody in the world, isn't it?
Yes, it was. These guys kept connected with some workshops that we did that I was lucky enough to host, going through sort of communication skills and how to use social media and training tips, all of these kind of things that also go into making a rider a better rider. But yeah, I'm sure frustrating for a lot of them. There's a few that did manage to do some sort of, I was going to say biking. I'm really out the game, aren't I? Did manage to do a little bit of racing, but yeah, obviously not in the ATC and not on these machines. And I think like Mikhail Sali might have stayed in Malaysia. He's from India, our Indian rider. I think he stayed in Malaysia or somewhere else to try and compete as much as he could in the competitions that were going ahead. So some impressive commitment from these guys, and it is great to see him back.
It is very much the rookie of the rookies class, I suppose, in Grand Prix racing, the aging contingent of that. But these are still the best up-and-coming riders from their respective regions.
Yeah, like we said, normally we have that selection event, but then this year we do have, the guys have come through from the national federations kind of hand-picking them. So especially the two Australians, they're from the Oceania Junior Cup. Tom Drain, who won that, and Marianos Nicholas, like I said earlier, he did well in the race simulation. I think he was the runner-up to Drain in that. Apologies if I've got them the wrong way around, but I would bet my life on that. So yeah, they're guys who've achieved a lot where they're coming from, and now they're just taking that next step to hopefully take another one on the road to MotoGP.
Well then, number 15, Taio Furusato, takes his place on pole position, ready to begin the first race of the Asia Talent Cup in 2021. Kind of the second sort of round of 2020 almost. It could be, not quite, you get what I mean.
And another one next weekend as well.
Exactly, the very same. So 4 races in 2 weeks for these guys. Their forearms aren't going to know what's hit them, will they? So, what awaits? Danish lines up in second place. Aditama, so a Japanese rider, Malaysian rider, and an Indonesian rider fill out the front row. Second row will be a Japanese rider, Malaysian and an Australian. Really such a mix of nationalities, all fighting for one common goal, to be the Asia Talent Cup champion in 2021. And it starts right here at the Losail International Circuit. The man with the red flag walks off to his left. The revs are up, the lights will come on, and we'll get ready to go racing. The Asia Talent Cup is officially back, and it's a heck of a start from Furusato, and Danish in number 13 got a woeful getaway there. That is the number 2, Rei Wakamatsu. We mentioned him on the grid in second place, but Furusato, no one's going to be troubling him up the inside of the first corner. Are they all safely through? That it will be absolutely key. A really wide exit for quite a few of them on the exit of turn 1. Careful into turn 2, cold side of that left tyre there, and on into turn 3. But look at this already, Fran. A few bike links for Furusato already. Yeah,
he really nailed that start, and you can see, like I said, Danish just got a little bit bogged down off the line, and Wakamatsu getting past Aditama, a few guys there. But yeah, perfect start for Furusato. I did get a little bit nervous when he went really wide, didn't he, out of turn 1, and he was out of the shot for a second longer than I would have expected. I was like,
backing it in as well.
But
look at him.
We're already hitting the gas though, aren't we? But yeah, all 3 safely, which is great to see. Everyone underway for 2021. And yeah, Furusato though, that's pretty much exactly what everyone would have feared, given the pace he's shown already, for him to get such a clean start unbothered at the front.
Yeah, that's Rei Wakamatsu there in second place. Who's he got? Well, this is Aditama in the leading group as well, but Furusato just eking out gap after gap after gap. Daniel Sharil, shout out to him in 4th place there, just behind Thompson. That is great to see, way back on the pace.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bit of a wiggle there. Who was that? That was Sharil, I think it was.
I think it was, but yeah, that was a nice wiggle to wake up on this nice sunny Saturday afternoon. But yeah, it's pretty interesting then. We've already got a second and a half, the timing screen says, and it's Wakamatsu on the chase. Not a rider who had the kind of 1 lap pace that you'd maybe want at the moment to start trying to hunt down Furusato at the front. So I'm sure these guys are going to try and squabble it out and get on the chase. But there you can see Sharil looking pretty threatening there, looking for a way through into 3rd.
The only hope these guys have really got at catching Furusato is hope that the slipstream effects will carry them back forward to him, because otherwise he's got a 2-second gap already, not even at the end of lap 1. This could be wham bam thank you ma'am, see you later Furusato. He has well and truly learned a fair amount over the last 12 months. Across the line they come then. It's Furusato, Wakamatsu, Thompson, Gunmie, the number 5 up there into 4th place for Daniel Sharil, and then Aditama just behind him.
Yeah, you can see Gunmie in the last couple of corners there made a lot of room, then lost out obviously a little bit in that slipstream, attacking again now. But these guys, the more they squabble, the more that's going to just give Furusato that clean air, unbothered, to just make his own pace. It's very Spanglish, but set his own pace at the front. So yeah, at the moment I think you called it already. Just after 1 lap, it's his to lose, I think, here at Losail.
I mean, I think we both mentioned that it's a very big, huge rarity that we get a sort of race like this.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for proving me so wrong, Race one.
It's a long way to go, but it's a 2.6 second gap now from Furusato back there. So this is a heck of a statement to make right at the beginning of the season. Who's that up the inside? That's Gunmiya up the inside of Wakamatsu, I think, into second position. Hongo, a jump start, double long lap penalty. He'll have to take that down at turn 6, where these guys have just passed through right now. That is the number 13. That is Hakim Danish, who started from the front row of the grid. A woeful start, pushed way back down the order. Who was he fighting with? I missed the number though.
Yeah, same. It's getting a little bit feisty in there, isn't it? There's quite a few move. Oh, big crash!
Aditama takes down Wakamatsu. That's both of their races done and dusted. Wakamatsu is furious, understandably so. His ambition outweighed his talent. The front end said, I've got no grip, mate. You've got to let go. And they've let go of that race, and Wakamatsu is absolutely livid. Rightly so.
Yeah, it's always going to be a bit of a heartbreaker when it's not even you who's caused it, just that bad luck to be in the way. Aditama, of course, just his own crash by himself, but nothing too leery, just didn't judge it right, and then unfortunately, yeah, another rider in his path, but both up and walking away,
yes,
or slightly stropping away, understandably. So early in the race as well, it's got to be frustrating, but that's a bit of a blow to Aditama after he'd looked like an early favourite for wins and to maybe challenge for the cup. That's a 0 first time out, although I know it's very early to say such things.
Well, thumbs up to the marshal then from Wakamatsu as he trudges away. Good thing that there's such a deep gravel trap, because that was a heck of a stomp he had on right then. Second place at the moment then is Gunmiya. It did look like Daniel Sharil actually led this little group outside the final corner, as he just goes around the outside there of Carter Thompson, the number 6. Really impressive move that, outbraking into turn 1. Who's the number 13 that we got there with them as well? That is Hakim Danish. So it's a pretty big shuffle throughout then. Danish making, well, definitely a benefactor of Aditama's crash there. Here's the replay of what happened. Aditama up the inside, front end said, no, I can't do it, mate, I can't.
Yeah, it's sadly just a bit over the limit there, but it wasn't anything too crazy.
No.
So just an unfortunate end to that move there, and both of them out in the end. And you can understand Wakamatsu's frustration when it's not your fault at all, and you just suddenly on the floor. Must be quite a shocker. But Furusato then still putting in those fastest laps. And the gap now is 4 seconds or more.
Crikey.
But we have seen Gunmiya now able to just pull away from that squabble a little bit. So it might be interesting to watch as the race goes on. We don't know how hard Furusato's pushed early on, but we do seem to have a little bit less chopping and changing, at least at the front of the second group. Having said that now, it looks like Danish is right on the tail of Gunmiya, so maybe they'll prove me wrong yet again.
Well, this is the thing you tend to see in the Asia Talent Cup, actually. With these guys being so new to a lot of these circuits, perhaps some more than others, you do find a couple of riders are really fast in one section, then a complete different sector of riders are super fast in another.
Yeah,
and
actually, it can be really interesting.
When it gets to the Moto 3 World Championship, for example, you don't tend to see quite such a difference between riders in individual sectors. But, I mean, these guys, they're just at the very beginning of their Grand Prix career.
It's interesting
and it makes
as
it
well.
interesting.
Yeah, especially because obviously all the bikes are the same in the ATC, so it's not like we've seen in MotoGP with Ducati really pulling out a gap on Yamaha in that 4th sector. It's not the same in the ATC. All the bikes are the same, so it is just who can really nail this sector, or who has the edge here or at different points on the track, and it does make for great racing. But this guy is doing his own version of great racing at the moment.
Yeah.
Look at that gap now.
Incredibly impressive that was. Now I'm looking at the number 17 in the middle of your picture. That is Hongo, and he has got a double long lap penalty to take.
And he hasn't been in, has he?
Yet. No.
Absolutely.
So whilst he's in the battle for this second place, as he's making a heck of a move up the inside of Carter Thompson up into turn 1 and nearly wipes him out, goes a little bit wider, mild shake of the head there. He will have to take that long lap penalty, or he could find himself in even bigger trouble there. So number 8 heads up the inside of him. That is Kanta Hamada, the number 8 from last year, who took that first victory of 2020, unable to back it up, but was actually, if I remember correctly, the championship leader after round 1. And
he was, yeah. He took the win in race 1 and then second place in race 2. So he was, yeah, looking pretty good last year before, sadly, we had the cup cancelled. But yeah, it's, oof, those moves as well. Like Hongo really, there we go. I was just going to say, the biggest heartbreak you can imagine is ending up and having an incident with another rider when you technically shouldn't be in that group. Not sure quite how...
Yeah, he didn't quite exit. He didn't quite exit at the correct point, but I guess he was trying to also be rather safe. Ah, yes, you can see that was a bit of a. That was not a reaction, that was an anticipation, which I think is what comes into the rules.
Yes, it's basically like the amount of time that a human can like not manage to react in. So even like the fastest reaction times in the world, if you're within that or before it, anticipating the start. And they have got very good sensors, so it's not just, you know, a game of victimization looking at the camera. So yeah, unfortunately for Hunger, then not the ideal start to his season, but at least he's back out there for some more laps.
This is well and truly the battle for second, because Furusato has a 7.1 second lead now. That is extremely impressive indeed. Hakim Danish, well, that's a heck of a recovery from a dismal start on the grid, up into second place now, where he started the race from, ahead of Gumir and Daniel Sharil, ready to pounce. I'll tell you what, Fran, I do notice in the time that he's been away, understandably so, he was a young man at the time, 16 years old, he's grown a considerable amount as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, he's 18 now and the oldest rider in the Cup. But yeah, looks like he's straight back on it, which is great to see. It's really genuinely makes me very happy having followed his recovery. And yeah, it was a really bad crash, and to see him back on it, maybe he gets a podium, maybe he doesn't, but he's fought at the front again, and that is the main thing, because I'm sure that getting back to racing has been a really big factor in getting him motivated to really work as hard as he has at his recovery.
And you think it's been a long wait for these guys since the last time they actually threw their legs over these motorcycles in a racing capacity, 1 year. Well, think about how long it's been for Daniel Sharil with one thing on his mind. I mean, at that time in the race, he was a winner in the Asia Talent Cup and ready to fight for titles and this and that. But yeah, it's life takes its twists and turns.
It does, but a slightly less twisty and turny journey at the front though. Furusato, have you looked at the pace between the last lap around?
Oh,
because
crikey.
He did a 2:10.8. And the guys behind him did a 2:12 dead, was the quickest lap behind him. So 1.1-ish seconds ahead, and that's on the last lap round, not a comparison of the best laps. So really, absolutely nothing fading for Furusato at the front, still absolutely hammer down as these guys still squabbling. So I think it's definitely now the number 15s to lose.
And you have to forgive us for jinxing it at the very top of the show, but hopefully this is still sufficing on the excitement level, the battle for second place in the Asia Talent Cup.
I'm sorry, I'll never say that again.
Yeah,
learned.
Completely ruined it. It's your fault. This to race direction, long lap penalty lane for Fran on the way home on the bus. See, this little groupetta here of Asia Talent Cup riders, well, I'm quite excited about that final lap and the run to the line, to be honest. Is whoever's going to be leading out of that final corner, it's going to be a case of do not lead out of the final corner.
Yeah, exactly. Don't repeat that mistake of Furusato last year. I'm going to go back to one thing though, in case everyone thinks that I'm intending to go back to Europe from Qatar on a bus. We have a shuttle service this weekend as we're in a bubble. So that is the bus. But yeah, these guys, great battle. I'm sure it's going to be fireworks on that final lap. Like you say, it's always difficult to judge, but I think leading, unless you really do have a fairly significant gap to those guys on your tail, is a bigger risk than being the guy who needs to make that move, I think. And Furusato did definitely, unfortunately, find that out last year. But it seems that, like we said earlier, a few of these guys are stronger at different points on the track. So you can really see like that gap grows
who's that gone
and then
down?
gets
Number 23.
Home rider Hamad Al-Sahuti. Sad to see him on the floor then. But some good experience racing here at his home track. Let's see what happens.
Oh dear, oh yikes.
So not his fault either, looked like just a
Which corner was that
bit
then?
of a twitch there.
Oh, and a fair repair job for the mechanics today. That's a real shame.
But up and okay, so at least we'll be able to get back out there tomorrow. But yeah, nothing he could really do about that, was there?
Nope, and it just goes to show the battles are fierce up and down. You think the battle for the second place is pretty fierce, but what about the battles for the final points as well? All these guys have a major point to prove, but that point is definitely being proven by Taya Furusato out front. Still 9 laps to go. I mean, how much can he stretch this out? This is just astonishing. You think of former Asia Talent Cup riders. I mean, this sort of ride reminds me of Yuki Kuni back in when he was in the Moto3 Junior World Championship at Le Mans. Won the race by 9 seconds.
Yeah, there's some of those performances where just everything clicks for someone. And when, especially like today as well, you get that perfect start, there's nothing been in your way, and then you're just able to take off in that clear air and just make those laps, put them in. And like we said, he's still so much quicker than the rest of the guys. Last time around, it was a 2:11.1 for Furusato and a 2:12.2 for Gunmie on his tail, but still significantly quicker. Really, really impressive stuff from him. So yeah, he looks pretty cash out there, although I'm sure the heart rate's beating a little bit more than it appears on the TV.
Speak for yourself, Fran. I mean, same here when we were commentating on the Asia Talent Cup. Same story every single year. And wow, okay, that's clearly where it went wrong then on the run down towards turn 16.
It would appear to be, yes.
The sprinkling of gravel over the track there. These guys successfully avoiding all those then. So Gunmie put in the driving seat at the moment, in for second place. Then I think you got Danish just behind him from Thompson, Hamada, Daniel Sharil, and then Sharil in on the number 20 just behind. So that's second to 7th place we have here.
Yeah, it's even better for commentators when they're 21 and 22, isn't it?
Yeah, not confusing at all.
But yeah, Gunmie though has been at the head of this group for much of this race now. A couple of times we've seen guys get a bit closer, maybe have a bit of a nibble, but yeah, the Japanese rider, the number 5 there on your screens, seems to be feeling pretty comfortable in that second place. And like you said, it is Danish now on his tail, and now they're almost starting to make a little bit of daylight. Be interested to see if that remains the case once they get back onto the start-finish straight with that slipstream. But it's very much a 2 and a 4 now in this battle.
Yeah, but the other thing I was just thinking about, Fran, looking at it with 8 laps to go, knowing how, well, commentating on the Moto 3, Moto 2 sessions, you see the riders when they were coming back into the garages after these relatively small runs, they look so drained, absolutely drenched in sweat. It's such a physical exertion, and this is a race, you know, adrenaline's pumping, you're
crazy.
Making moves. I mean, what effect will that have as we get to these latter stages of the race? It's still 35 degrees Celsius out there, nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and well, I mean,
I'm impressed with that.
Yes, well, no, it's only because it comes up on the graphic at the start of the show, so I just use a rough estimation. But
that's for our viewers in the US and Liberia and where else. There's a couple of other places, but mainly just the North American.
I mean, come on, get with the times, guys.
I'm sorry, but yeah, you can still see that gap. Then these guys looking a little bit feistier in this fight, but we've not seen anything too extreme yet. Seem to be biding their time before really going at it. But yeah, pretty interesting. Thompson, the rider at the head of this little quartet here. But yeah, I don't know. I really can't call it because they're certainly not too far away to catch the Mie-Danish duo either. But yeah, I think that start-finish straight, if we see what happens there, if these guys really start squabbling more and more, that's definitely a sign that the two ahead will have a little bit more chance of escaping.
I've got to say, Hamada and Thompson certainly have some modest frames on them. They're not exactly the tallest fellas around, so it should be get a good slingshot with the old slipstream down the start and finish straight. Hamada just sticking behind Thompson there. Then you got the Sharil duo behind them, but no, not quite any closer to Mr. Gunmie there, and Danish in second and third spot. But plenty of time still left to go. Got to keep an eye on what these sector times are doing then in these first ones. I mean, the first sector is pretty huge, going all the way up towards turn 4. That's over a kilometre of circuit. It's such a huge layout we have here at Losail International Circuit.
And how do you know that?
Because I actually run it the other day and I was keeping track of my heart rate throughout.
And you mentioned it several times.
Yeah, it was. Well, the fact that I ran it or how big it is, but
I'm very impressed by anyone who runs this track, because even in the middle of the night, it is simply too warm.
It is very, very hot indeed, isn't it?
But yeah, it's a big track here at Losail. I'm a big fan of it. It's a really great circuit, especially when it's lit up for MotoGP. It's pretty impressive. It's so cool with the lights and then just the desert. But for these guys as well, now you can see the sun a little bit lower. Really nice colour and light coming across the track. And yeah, it looks awesome with all these guys in this pretty smart new Idemitsu logoed livery.
Yeah, very tidy indeed, that. And I was going to say that the other reason why this is such a rider's track as well, it's because one of the few places on the MotoGP calendar you can really ring a MotoGP bike to its limits. So just think what you could do with these minute capacity Asian Talent Cup machines. Just full throttle everywhere. You can see where they go. I mean, they're coming down the sort of the long turn 11 here before teaming into the combination of turns 12, 13 and 14. And their lean angle's pretty minimal going through turn 11. Of course, it makes absolute sense in comparison to the MotoGP machines, but just full gas.
Yeah, it must be a pretty impressive ride on one of these for the first time. Because, yeah, obviously the rookies and stuff, no one from Qatar joining in here except our new Qatari addition to the grid, of course. But, yeah, the Australians and that, they've not been here before, I don't think. So, pretty nice opportunity, as well as starting competition again and moving into the IATC. Just, yeah, to ride this beautiful track here at the Sale.
Well, as we come out the final corner then, it was noticeable that the Shrill duo have managed to catch the two riders ahead of them, Thompson and Hamada. So they're now a quartet once again. But how well can they work together to catch the likes of Danish and Mie? Thompson cuts the nose off Shrill into turn one there. And then, well, who's that behind him? Oh, that was a bit of a shove from Daniel on Hamada there, but he keeps it fairly firm with that super ice cool, almost very classical Japanese MotoGP rider style there, keeping that head tucked well in behind the screen. Yeah,
we saw him, they run a little bit wide there over the green as well. They do have to be just as careful of track limits as the other classes that we're sharing the paddock with this weekend. But yeah, Daniel Shariel then definitely looking like he wants to make short work of these guys and maybe try and catch Mie and Danish. But Mie and Danish, oh, there we go. You see,
up the inside.
He's pulled it off as well. Not too many fireworks there, just a nice clean move. Aggressive, but in the best way. But yeah, so here we go then.
Who's this guy? I forgot about him. Where is he?
Yeah, just
almost forgot.
A few postcodes up the road.
He's actually starting next weekend's race already.
It's nearly 12 seconds now.
Yeah, that
really is a stunner, isn't it?
And it's really good to see, because last year, not really quite learning the very key aspect of the race from one race to the next, from one day to the other. Coming out of that final corner in first position and losing out both times, you did think, oh, come on, son.
Who knows? Maybe he's just been watching those races every single day.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Waiting for the revenge.
The absolute determination of motorcycle racers as a whole, and how, well, they're like elephants. They don't forget things like that. So for Rossato, turning up a year later, not just learning from his mistake before, but he said, well, I am going to lead out of the final corner on the final lap, but I'm going to make sure I'm so far up the road.
I'm going to do it with 12 seconds
Even on
Jack
Miller's Ducati, no one's going to catch me. So this is, well, meanwhile, we can sink our teeth into this little quartet then, battling for, well, actually fourth place now, because these guys are off the podium as of this moment. They come on to the start and finish straight for, once again, 5 laps to go, down to 4 laps to go. It's Thompson versus Shrill's duo, and then Hamada as well. They're not getting any closer to Mie and Danish though, Fran.
No, they don't seem to be really cutting into that gap too much, but they are really squabbling. We're going 3 wide into turn 1. That's normal.
Yep, standard. Six is the normal for these guys.
All nice and safely, as you'll see now. There. Yeah, exactly. So this big squabble here is absolutely raging.
Very tight.
Nice and close, that guy.
Righty.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal in that fight there. You can see everyone scatters and then gets back in there. I'm hoping Hongo has taken his second long lap penalty.
Judging by where he is.
Seen it on screen, but yes, you'd expect, hopefully. But yeah, it's a really incredible group battle back there. And there's a good group of riders that, yeah, just almost nothing splitting them over the line last time around. I'm trying to count them quickly, but it's at least 9 of them. I managed to do that in 3s on the timing screen quickly. But yeah, really good battle there. Some good rookies in there as well, getting their teeth into this first ever ATC race that they've done.
And I was wrong when I counted the laps, because of course Furusato is so far ahead of everybody else. He crossed the start and finish line far before they did. It is 5 laps to go, more like 4.5 now in this first Asia's Talent Cup race of 2021. And well, the headlines right now in this particular corner is the Shrill duo have, in fact, past both Hamada and Thompson. But can they make a break? Can Daniel, who is the number 21, hunt down Danish and Mie for those podium positions? What a return that would be for the Malaysian rider. We'll keep an eye on the gap then, because behind Danish, well, when they crossed the line, it was 1.7 seconds back to Thompson. But what about on the splits? It's still 1.7 seconds at the first split, 1.5 at the second, and 1.4 at the third. So it is therefore game on here in race 1.
Oh, you've called it already. You've called it already.
Potentially.
But no, you can visually see that gap getting a little bit smaller though, can't you, as well? Just from the TV pictures as well as the timing screens backing that up. And you can see this gap's not really getting any smaller at all. Incredible there. You can see the other guys just coming into the shot at the back. But yeah, I think it might be bubbling up quite nicely. They've got enough time, haven't they?
Well, where are they now then? It's Sherrill 1.6, so they did lose a fair amount in that final.
They lost a couple tenths there.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe not then. Maybe it's game on for 4th. But then we don't know what drama's going to
ensue.
To happen for 2nd either, do we, at the end of the race? They might end up both several hundred meters wide at the final corner when it comes down to it.
An absolutely
we'll have to find out.
savage final corner move in a Dovizioso Marquez-esque style there. Could be on the cards, but yes, chopping and changing positions all over the shop. Daniel Sherrill is now at the back of this little quartet, but is he for long? He's up the inside of Thompson once again. Hamada staying around the outside. He carries terrific corner speed, does Hamada, around the outside in general. He seems to have turn 1 absolutely nailed. Not quite managing to sort it this time around, but look at that, Sherrill, the number 20, with Daniel just behind him, now heading it. But are they any closer to the others? Well, no, actually it's extended again. At the first sector it was 1.8. What about now as they come around to complete the second sector? That is the big question there. On the exit of this corner, they cross the intermediate sector, and it's still 1.8. So
not lost too much, but yeah, I was expecting to see a little bit of a gain. Like you said, over a few sectors, they'd really ticked off a few tenths. But now it looks like, I think it's going to be the status quo, barring any drama, and this is going to remain a fight for 4th. But yeah, pretty spicy now. The Sherrills have made their presence known and now back at the front of this group. But they're just holding each other up, and it's understandable because obviously they don't want someone to escape and then get in that podium fight if they can't follow. But yeah, it's definitely not helping their overall mission as a foursome. I was like, what's the word for quartet? To catch the guys who, yeah, at the moment are in 2nd and 3rd.
This is part of the Age of Talent Cup as well. These are not fully well-rounded, fully seasoned and ripe motorcycle racers at World Championship level. They're still very much on learning curves, even when the action is as fearsome as this into the final corner. The Sherrills come out of the final corner in the leading positions in this quartet, but how long will that last? Thompson, the little pocket rocket round there. Is that Wakamatsu watching from the sidelines? Probably extremely miffed, understandably so, but he gets another rack at it tomorrow.
Yeah, a bit of a heartbreaker, and Elise gets to see a nice little show here, and yeah, probably a little bit worried about Furusato and how he's just in his own race. But yeah, nice and spicy then there. These guys really are giving it some, and look at this group.
Classic ATC.
They're still absolutely, yeah, just jammed together there, fighting over, I think it's 8th place the head of this group will take home. So a solid 8 points, but yeah, what a train. And at the moment it's the rookie Marianos Nicholas who's at the head of that train. According to the graphics, it probably already changed.
I think it was actually Dandy heading into the first corner at that in the leading position.
We'll have to see then when we go back to those guys in that almighty battle. Yeah, it's just half a tenth here and there between those guys, and with the slipstream as well, just gets even crazier.
I'm not sure what Daniel Sherrill's been, what motorcycle he's been riding over the last, 18 months or so, but he's got a heck of a style backing it in there into turn 6, I think that was. Yes, it was turn 6 there, just letting that bike slide all underneath him. I suppose he's a bit of a taller frame now, can really cope with the bike moving underneath him a lot more. Yeah,
I think we also saw a classic cheeky tap at the back of the seat a minute ago, didn't we?
Trademarked move.
Like, no one's gonna probably follow you. I'm sorry,
well,
but
he's leaving them behind.
Having said that, he does appear to be backing that up with a little bit more speed at the moment. But yeah, he's obviously realising, guys, time's running out. If we want to really be in this podium fight, we're not the first enemy. The first enemy is the gap to Mie and Danish ahead of us. So yeah, we'll have to see then if Daniel Sherrill can just pull the pin a little bit and yeah, get the hammer down and cut into that gap. But it's a fair few meters now. It might be a little bit late.
2.3 seconds it is to the podium now. Then so that's like it could be wrapped up, bar any disasters for Furusato, Gun, Mie and Danish there in 3rd place. But well, as the sun dips very, very low and into their eyes. We all know what it's like driving in winter. Well, at least UK and European residents do. What it's like driving the UK with the low sun.
Everyone in Qatar is like, what you want about?
these guys experiencing exactly the same thing at the moment. And look at that, from one side of the track to the other. Gunmie there with Danish just behind him. Who's going to lead this little quartet into turn one? It's Thompson yet again with the slingshot move from the pocket rocket Australian. Great stuff in there. 2 laps to go now. This is the penultimate lap of race 1 of the Asia Talent Cup. Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, I should say. For Risato, just a little check-in on how he's doing. He started tomorrow's race already, leading that by 15 seconds up the road he is from the 2nd and 3rd podium spots. That is a heck of a ride from him. He can sleep very, very well tonight, should he take it across the line in his current position.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff from Furusato, like we said. And yeah, it was Daniel Shariel, should specify, who really lost out on that shuffle down the start-finish straight and then into turn 1, wasn't it? He looks like he's trying to fight back, following Hamada through. But yeah, that's getting a little bit close now. But I'm sure it must be frustrating. He obviously made that gap and then saw that all slip through his fingers a little bit on that start-finish straight with the slipstream.
These guys just seem to be changing positions every single sector. It's a completely different shuffled order every single time they come around. But Thompson's in the driving seat at the moment. They can kiss goodbye to any hopes of a podium, but that's okay. I think, well, some of these guys, I like to think that they would be very happy with their performances today, but the reality is these guys are motorbike racers with huge ambitions. They'll be going to sleep tonight going, oh, I missed the podium.
One of my favourite press release quotes of all time was former ATC champion Ayumu Sasaki. I think it was a Red Bull Rookies Cup race, and his quote was just like, I didn't win, so I'm not happy. It's like, fair enough.
Yeah.
And we like the honesty. So yeah.
And that sort of attitude takes you to the World Championship.
Exactly. But yeah, at least these guys have the data to try and give it another crack tomorrow, and 2 more chances next weekend, because round 2 is now going to take place here at Lusail. But yeah, for us it looks impressive stuff, but for them I'm sure if it's not a win it's like, well, and then try again, get that revenge sharpened and ready to go. It's going to be a big ask against Furusato. They're looking at this form, and these guys also solid speed, and they've not bothered each other too much either. So heading on to the last lap, now the gloves might come off a little bit more.
1 lap and 16 corners to go. Well, considerably less now for Taiyo Furusato. What a ride this has been. But what about these guys then? Into turn 1. 16 more attempts for an attack they can make this time around to bag that 4th position for those ones. And we're just not even going to... you can't call this battle behind them lot. That is the number 9. Is that the rookie still leading the way? Lacan?
It's Thanakon Lacan yet, so the Thai rider. He's been bothering the front of that group a few times. And yeah, starts the final lap at the head of it. But I'm sure, well, nothing against him, but I'm sure there'll at least be shuffles in the order, even if we just get it back by the end of the lap. Yeah,
excellent job by him. And this is the thing, you just don't know what's going to be happening tomorrow as well. It could be a completely different look race. How much homework can these guys do in simple, well, 24 hours or so? Shariel tried to make a move up the inside then of Carter Thompson, who's actually looking extremely good in this race. Such a pocket rocket character, could put in a pocket rocket performance all the way to the line for 4th place here. Would be an excellent result on the first race here of 2021. But what about this? The battle for 2nd then. Gunmie versus Danish, the man who started for 2nd place and got a frankly woeful start off the line. He will be looking to improve on that this morning, but he's more than made up for it here, even if he just comes away with a mere podium.
Yeah, he's really had to put in the work, has the Malaysian, to get back here after, like you said, he bogged down off the middle of the first row.
Ooh, taking a look at the inside.
Having a wee look, but Gunmie is doing a great job still to defend, and these guys are still really going at it, aren't they? But yeah, it's Australian Carter Thompson still ahead of this group, looking pretty solid, but I don't know, that final corner, leading out the final corner, like we said, it didn't work for people last year.
Well, whereabouts is our friend Furusato? Because he's got to be coming across the line now. He is. The number 15 then is finally an Asia Talent Cup winner here in Qatar. What a performance. And now we begin the long wait for the 2nd and 3rd place riders to come across the line. What a spectacular one. It's a run to the line. Look at this. It's Gunmie versus Danish. Is it going to be Danish delight, or is it going to be Gunmie going gun-ho for to the line. He comes across. It's a photo finish. Who was it? It's Mie, says the graphic. How about that? And what about this battle? Was it Sharul? It was Sharil coming across the line. Thank you very much, Fran. Off to the podium you go.
I shall have a good time with this battle. Look at that group coming across the line. It is a freight train, but it is Lacan who stays ahead of that group. Great job from the tie rider.
And you've got a front brake protector all over the place on one of the bikes I saw coming across the line, so clearly there's been a bit of a battle there. I hope these guys have realised that was the end of the race. How about that tyre for Osato? Well, congratulations on an absolutely sterling first victory. No thank you for the lack of excitement for the win, though, actually, I should say, but just kidding, of course. A really cracking performance. That is the way, really, that you want to take your first victory, isn't it? Surely. Impressing the whole MotoGP paddock with a domination win like that. Truly excellent stuff. And then Gun Mie, the number 5, fellow Japanese rider, Japanese 1-2 here in the Asia Talent Cup then, with a Malaysian on the podium in position 3. These guys must be pretty chuffed with that one. That was truly, truly excellent. Hakim Danish then, obviously the results of this race will dictate what the championship standings will be ahead of tomorrow's second race of round 1. And a reminder that we're coming back here next week as well for round 2. Oh, look at this photo finish. Gun Mie then trying to keep in the slipstream just as long as he possibly can. Bit of Robbins racing. How about that? Whoa. Well, the graphic says it was Gun Mie. I'm glad they got the old photo finish camera there, because that was an extremely close finish. What we come to expect here in the Asia Talent Cup then. So what a great way to return to racing here for the red and white bikes. Really, really great stuff. Just as the sun begins to set here in Qatar, the floodlights coming on around the circuit, getting ready for qualifying time in the Grand Prix categories. First up, Moto 3, followed by Moto 2, and then Moto GP. I'll tell you what else is great this year. The complete difference in a lot of the helmet designs as well. Really helps out us commentators, to tell you that. What replay we're about to get here, this was the photo finish for that quartet of the Sharils and then Hamada and Thompson. God. What a shot that is. Even in the shade, cast over by the grandstand on the home straight here. And they didn't even want to let up. They were so focused on that run to the line, tensing every muscle in their body to keep inside that bubble behind the screen. Oh, don't drop the bike. Oh, this is, well, there you go. That was for Risato's only mistake all race then. And it comes right at the end of it. Well, maybe, bless his heart, he's probably absolutely exhausted after that one, because I am, and I wasn't even riding the bike at 35 degrees Celsius. In comes then, I think that must be Hakim Danish. Posing for a photo, yeah, and then Gun Mie comes in as well. The little squeak of the front brake then. Hakim Danish, well, you can see Razlan Razali, team boss of the Yamaha Petronas Sprinter Racing Squad, coming over to wish his compatriot well after that sterling performance. Hakim Danish, of course, starting from second on the grid here today. But, well, know exactly what homework he's got to do overnight. And that is, well, one, trying to get to the run to the line. And secondly, but I would say actually first and foremost, work on your starts. Because without that, you would have had a heck of a lot less work to do, frankly, eh? Masks on, keep everybody safe. And at least, well, Asia Talent Cup well and truly back. Hakim Danish, I suppose, talking to Razlan Razali there. At a distance, yes, there he is. And you never know, because you do never know. That's why they're in the Asia Talent Cup. They could be talking to a future team boss. You never know. That is why these guys line up. They apply and line up in the Asia Talent Cup to go racing. Hopefully get on, stay on the Road to MotoGP programme. Take on challenges like heading to the European Talent Cup, joining the Moto3 Junior World Championship, and then one of the Road to MotoGP teams in the Moto3 Senior, in inverted commas, World Championship. Bringing through, well, I mean, What more motivation do these guys need than seeing a former Asia Talent Cup winner, Kaito Toba, topping the free practice sessions overall ahead of qualifying then. Not only that, of course, a former winner here at Qatar back in 2018 on the Honda Team Asia motorcycle, a motorbike that one of these guys could be on within the next few years. The carrot is dangling as much as it possibly could be in front of their very eyes. What more motivation could you possibly need? Alberto Puig down there as well. HRC Repsol Honda team boss there as well. Also a part of the Road to MotoGP program, has been for many, many years. As the riders now head up towards the podium. Fran will be announcing them too. Well, the paddock. Here are then the final results then of that race then. Tayo Furusato first place, 16.6 seconds down the road was Gunmiya from Hakim Danish. Carter Thompson, Sharul Sharil, Kanta Hamada, Daniel Sharil, Tanakorn Lackard 8th place, and then Marianos Nicolis, the Australian rider there, 34 seconds adrift of the eventual winner, just mere tenths behind Lacorn there in 9th place. Fujita, well, that was a spicy 10th finish for him from Youssef Al-Darwish, the local Qatari rider. Herlan Dandy, that'll be absolutely fine and dandy there in 12th place for him. Some good homework to come from him overnight. Hongo had those 2 long lap penalties, and then 3 non-finishers. Hamad Al-Sahuti, followed by Ray Wakamatsu and Fadila Aditama, coming together near the beginning of the race. They'll be back tomorrow and hoping for a much better finish than that. So without much of a surprise, unsurprisingly, the race results follow the same trend in the championship standings as well. That'll be the only time that happens throughout the course of the year. Tayo Furusato, 25 points to him from Gunmiya. Bringing up the rear, 15 riders with points. You have Bwapa there. Riders just having a quick Saviga drink and a towel, masks on, getting ready to head out onto the podium, announced by my fellow commentator, Fran Wild. And how about this? I mean, it must be a very special feeling for the first time at a Grand Prix event, heading out onto a podium. Mere commentators can only imagine. Not quite used to it yet because, yep, you've already been called out. Mr. Danish heads out, give the crowd a wave, or not, no, straight out onto the podium, goes about his business in a very direct manner, understandably so. Gunmiya, 2nd place. Oh, that's a heck of a helmet design. Very, very nice indeed. Very classical. Also very classic Arai. Furusato then makes up for what he was unable to do 12 months ago. Wins an Asia Talent Cup race here in Qatar. And the dignitary, of course, handing out the trophies. The last ever 250cc world champion, Hiroshi Oyama, team boss in the Honda Idemitsu Honda Team Asia squad. Gunmiya gets the trophy. Happy, but also maybe not. Always want more, these guys, don't they? And how about that? That must be very, very special indeed for the number 15. Now time for the race winners' national anthem. Gotta say, one of the best national anthems out there. Absolutely, and hopefully, well, looking forward to the Japanese Grand Prix. We'll have the Asia Talent Cup later on in the year. How cool would that be to hear the national anthem ring out there as well? Absolutely sterling stuff. Don't forget to join us tomorrow as well for race 2 of round 1 of the Asia Talent Cup. These are the highlights for Risato. Well, that was pretty much the last any of these guys actually saw of him. You saw that dismal start from Danish there, the number 13, but fortunately definitely made up for it come the end of the race there. Action packed throughout. Here was that move from Aditama wiping out Wakamatsu, unfortunately, at, was that turn 10, I think it was, wasn't it? Wakamatsu absolutely livid, but I'm sure he'll get over it by tomorrow. Here was Hongo's first long lap penalty, which we saw. He had to do another after that for his jump start. It was all about the battle between Gunmie and Danish for that second spot. The others clung on to him for a little while. Meanwhile, there was a fair amount of action down the field as well. The local Qatari rider just, unfortunately, coming a cropper there, crashing out of the race. There was another fall or two, or was there? No, it was the same crash, actually, it was. Gunmie and the battle with Danish raged on for that second position. You all know who came out on top, though. Showing his wheel was Hakim. Couldn't quite get there enough, though. Meanwhile, that quartet we're focusing on with the likes of Hamada, Thompson and the Shurils take nothing away, though, from this man. For Risato, a winner in the Asia Talent Cup. We look forward to tomorrow as well. What a brilliant way to start the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. Enjoy qualifying. Catch you tomorrow.